Welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank Podcast. Stuart Blues, common guest to the show. He's been on like 6 or 7. We've known each other, what, like 2.5 years, 3?
Time flies. Yeah,
Yeah,
probably
you're
about
getting
that, I
old.
think.
You're getting old.
Yeah, so when did I started? What, 2020? And you hooked up with you not long after that, I don't think.
Did you pay me afterwards?
Yeah, hooked up. I don't mean intercourse.
Like in a little crappy motel or something like that.
That's where it would happen, 100%.
And look at you now. You got a new studio. You look professional. You got a lighting that is making you look albino.
Well, I know it's set on white, but I'm quite a washed out person. It's not a fancy studio. Like behind me looks okay, but this side, the room is unpainted, unfinished. Only paint what the audience can see. That's a good
That's
rule for you.
See, I had mine in front of that blackout curtain that's over here. And then I just was like trying to decide what I wanted to do there. I was like, just lights and that's it. I'm not going to hang anything up because, you know, just no,
You're a plain Jane.
kind of. But I like to think I bring it out with my character, have a little bit of that personality.
Well, that shelf was an absolute bastard to put together. I'm not handy at all. And behind it, there's like different holes, on different levels where I fucked it up. So, but it looks okay. I've got my little Santa Claus there on his train, chilling.
I got a shelf up here I put when I first moved into this place, and it has like a bunch of hot sauce bottles I got from guests on the show in the beginning. Were a lot of hot sauce people, and they sent me a bunch of bottles. I'm waiting for it to fall because it is not installed properly, but by the will of God, it has just stayed up there. So if one of these times in the middle of a podcast, you just see a hot sauce bottle go through my eye and the shelf hit me in the face.
That's the stuff that should be in the background, man. It's a storyteller. It's what's that?
This
Hot
is
sauce.
enough.
Oh.
There's nothing back there, just lights. Except the
Mm-hmm.
lights got me in trouble one time. Someone was like, "Why'd you choose red?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just changing it up. I usually go with purple because it brings out my eyes." And they're like, "Yeah, but did you choose red because you think I'm a Republican?" And I'm like, "Jesus, no, I didn't. I
Americans.
really didn't. I really didn't choose that at all. Do you like blue? I choose blue, but it makes me look Egyptian a little bit. My skin comes out really, really orange."
Hmm. Yeah, I got one of these Govee lamp things, but I just set it to this because no other colors seem to work. Like yours is, I can see yours, but it's still quite only one sort of area is emanating from your. It's reversed. I'm assuming that's your right arm. That's your right arm.
Yes,
Why is my mirror image mirrored then and yours isn't?
because I'm the host
Okay.
and I
Your left
adjusted it
arm
in my
then,
settings.
did you? All
And
right.
also, if you
Um,
notice when you watch this on YouTube, I'm on the right and you're on the left. And
that's
if you,
true.
so when you go and look over, you're looking this way and I'm looking this way. So we never actually look like we're looking at each other's boxes. Like if I turn my head to,
But
what is
what if
it,
we both
this
go
way?
that way and
See, now
so
if you
you,
turn your
you
head that way, you're looking the wrong way.
no because these will yeah
Yeah,
because
see,
it'll
so
so I go like this.
yeah, that's then you're talking to me. But we do the Brady Bunch. We just, you know what
But
I mean?
if I look that way, I'm
Jesus.
looking at you right
I'm sorry
now.
for people listening.
It-
The real truth to the matter is I could have easily grabbed this box and switched it over. Like if I did this and moved it over, look at that. Do you see it? It didn't do it on your screen? It did it to me. I This looks 1,000 times better. Why am I not doing my show like this? See, I've just been too lazy. I didn't want to tell people about it, so I'm going to stick with doing it this way, and we're just going to have to deal. Okay. I want to have you back on the show to discuss your show, kind of, and some things you're working on. British Murders Podcast, everybody. If you ever listen to me and Stuart's discussions, it's two people with ADHD trying to figure out the world and hoping to God we don't get in trouble while doing it, but we do anyway.
yeah, that's true. Undiagnosed here, but probably do defo have it. I think.
Everyone has something.
Yeah,
Most
but yeah,
people got
my
a pension and some don't.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, my show is on surprise, surprise, British murder cases,
Why British?
exclusively British.
Because he's
Why?
a racist.
Some call me a colonial,
Colonialist. That's a good one.
or is it colonist? There's two different words that sound similar that mean very different things. One's colonist and one's colonialist. I think one of them is only correct though. I feel like colonist is the right word,
Do you
and
take a
colonial.
Wait, do you take
It's
offense when someone says like the Native Americans were slaughtered by the English? Because then they mean you?
well, it's slaughtered by me, mate.
Weren't slaughtered by me.
I don't take offense.
Okay.
Obviously horrible that that happened, but it's out
Yeah.
of my control. To be
Yeah.
honest, it happened hundreds of years ago.
It's kind of like when someone tosses out a hypothetical, would you kill baby Hitler in the crib? And you're kind of like, maybe. I don't know. Time travel doesn't exist.
But wouldn't it make more sense to? It depends where you sit on the nature versus nurture argument. Wouldn't it make more sense to kill his caregivers because he's a baby and in theory his mentality was learned behavior? So that baby could, in theory, grow up to be a normal, well-rounded person if the people who instilled those thoughts on him were wiped out. Is that not the better route to go than killing a baby who at that point was innocent?
I could swing this around to the podcast. Nature versus nurture. Do you think a lot of the killers that you've looked at have really had more of a experience type that has caused them to develop either the psychopathic tendencies, or do you think it's more like some people are just born with it?
I think it's more nurture than nature. I don't necessarily believe that people can be born inherently evil. I don't think that's possible. I don't think there's like an evil gene. But then again, people do have sort of abnormalities within the brain. You know, there's a plethora of mental health issues, physical issues, and it all comes from the brain, right? Because that's the any defect in the brain causes potential physical, emotional, mental instability, defects, psychopathy, everything like that. So maybe it's possible, but from my experience, the one I've researched or the ones I've researched, it's typically people who grew up either in they might have got bullied at school or they might have an unstable father figure or not have a father figure. I'm looking at the men killers here because I cover women killers also, but they're mainly men, let's be fair, against women, which is
Wait,
awful.
what? I thought it was mostly women are mostly serial killers and men are mostly mass killers.
Not really, not here. I mean, the amount of serial killers we have is far, far fewer than in North America, but the most infamous ones are typically men.
Well, I mean, it depends. I think it's just the media's portrayal in that aspect of things.
I think so.
The lady in what is it? The Lady of Death or the Angel of Death, the woman that killed like 50 something babies or 60 something babies?
Well, if you're talking about Beverly Allitt,
No,
then no.
no.
Well, she was known as that as well. Isn't it funny in a sadistic way how women killers, whenever they're given a moniker by the media, it's always to do with the feminine side. So, for example, the Peter Sutcliffe was called the Yorkshire Ripper, right? He was from Yorkshire and he brutally killed sex workers. So he got the moniker Yorkshire Ripper. You have Harold Shipman, who was called Dr. Death. And all these names, the M1 maniac for Robert Black. But when you come to a nurse who killed, I think Beverly Allitt killed about 13 babies. I might be getting that number wrong. She
What
was
is her
called
last name?
Allitt,
I, I it's
A L L I T or
it's
T T.
that's definitely not the one I'm thinking of.
You might be thinking of Lucy Letby, who's recently been sent down.
Maybe.
Shit, but Beverly Allitt was like early 90s. But both of those were called the Angel of Death. So they kind of put almost a positive spin, like a feminine spin on these killers.
Do you not think it's because of the position that they're in the nursing
Well,
field?
I don't think so because Harold Shipman was a doctor. He was a general practitioner.
Yeah, but nurses are more likely the ones that end up resuscitating or reviving a patient. A doctor's kind of more of the procedural type.
It depends what field you're in, I suppose. Like he was in a GP, just a local doctor's office, if you want to call it that. And Beverly Allitt worked. They both worked in neonatal wards.
Just a general practitioner. You don't get the credit of having a cool ass
No,
serial
that's just
killer
what they
name.
call they're just called GPs here. That's what our doctors are called, GP. You're the local doctors, not at a hospital, just at a local practice, like a converted house.
We would call that a universal term because that would be the same thing that it is over here.
Okay.
What do you call a serial killer that kills someone with a rake?
Sideshow Bob.
That's a fair one too. I don't like that's used in The Simpsons. You got to find a better one than that.
With a rake.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can already see the headline when manual labor goes bad. Little Timmy
Hmm.
wanted $20 for raking the whole 4 acres, but John only gave him 10.
See, I'm not a big fan of monikers or nicknames for killers. It almost gives them a status of infamy, you know? It's easier to remember a nickname than it is to remember someone's name.
Well, they stopped publicizing names of killers because it was giving them more press attention and more traction. So our media over here stopped publishing like terroristic acts. They don't publish the names of the people, or they're not supposed to. They end up finding out the information later when it comes out, like in court case trials and things of that sort. But you never popularize it. This happened when John Lennon was killed. Mark Chapman. Even if you go into Beatles forums now and you mention Mark Chapman, there's a lot of Beatles forums that'll be like, "Stop! He wanted fame. You're publicizing him. You're giving him exactly what he wants. Don't say his name." And it's like, well, I mean, if you're being honest about the whole Mark Chapman scenario, he's made up 80 different excuses as to why he did it. So I don't think it's fame. I think it's just something else.
Hmm. But so in those situations, if it's a terrorist act and they don't name the terrorist, do they not instead give them a nickname then?
I don't know. They didn't announce the 13 whatever hijackers of 9/11, but I also think it's because they couldn't fucking pronounce half those names. Look at the list. You cannot read one of those properly.
I forget what the I read a book once. It was a fiction book, and I had to look up this killer had a picture of the most well known guy. I forget his name. Can't think of his name on his wall, and I was like, "Who the hell's that?" I had to Google it. Bit of a digression, but yeah, nicknames. I've sort of grown since being a podcaster. I was always one of these people, and a lot of people are like this, where you're drawn towards learning about the killer rather than the innocent victims of said killer. And especially, you see people selling merchandise, and it's weird because it's almost like a mug, right? And it'll have a catchphrase on, or you might sell you a plate that you eat food off, and it'll have like a Jeffrey Dahmer quote on it, to try and play with the cannibalism thing. And nowadays, after seeing victims' families and hearing from them and speaking to them and stuff, it's just a completely different perspective. And you just think you shouldn't. It's almost hypocritical because doing the podcast, you get some revenue from ads, right? So I'm kind of being a hypocrite here, but profiting off marketing of the killers doesn't sit right with me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think you're in the same category. I think
No, I'm
you're,
not. I'm not
yeah,
suggesting that. But what I mean is, people like I went to what was it?
the convention.
No, not that. I went to a university in Kent. I think it was the University of Kent back in September.
So our
And
high school.
no, your college, I guess
Okay.
that 18 plus level. And
There are
I
some
was
people
given
in high school that are 18 plus.
not here. You finish at 16 here.
Yeah, some people just want to stay a little longer.
Well, you can between 16 and 18. You go to what we call college.
I knew a janitor who could solve equations on a chalkboard that were unfinished. Smartest guy I've ever met.
Yeah. So they were doing this freshers week, which is our opening week for new students. They have like a week of talks, conferences, activities just to help you settle in. Excuse me. And this one was on criminology students, I think. So there was me, another podcaster, and a load of the academics that are going to be teaching this group of, I say kids, but young adults, let's say. And I was giving a talk there about podcasting and stuff. And someone in the audience basically said, is it right that you're doing this? And it's just one of them lingering things. And you think, is it right? But I think if you do it in the right way, if you do it focusing on the killer, which admittedly in my first few seasons, that is what I did. I'm not going to deny that. And I don't want to go back and change those episodes because if you listen to my whole back catalogue, you can see how it's developed and how I've grown. So I like people going on that journey. But I think nowadays, if you're telling it from the perspective of the victims with respect, but also putting in context as far as the killer's concerned. So, for example, if that killer was abused as a child, it doesn't justify going on to then do what they did, but it just gives a bit of context as to why they've not gone down a quote unquote normal life, you know?
Yeah, it's not rationalizing, obviously, what, like, you're not trying to be like, oh, this person was abused and that's why he turned out this way. It's like you're not trying to rationalize that, but you're just explaining that this is probably one of the multifactorial scenarios where it could lead a person to this. I mean, I don't think that's wrong. I think you just develop that as you grow as a person. I mean, I've grown since I first did my first episode, a little bit more serious on certain topics when I'm not having good buddies like yourself on. But no, there's a lot of stuff I'd probably politically I'd be different than I was maybe a year ago or maybe last time we talked. And it just happens. I mean, I think if you look at 9/11, that whole scenario that happened, they started selling merchandise and t-shirts right like a couple weeks after the towers fell. You know, it was a whole profit event for a lot of people that weren't even connected to what exactly happened at 9/11. I mean, that's why conspiracy theories get a lot of crap because people end up creating whole sites and shows about it. But also the other side does it too. The people that fact check and write books, you know, authors in general exploit every event, but it's also their perspective and their scenario. I don't blame them for it. You know, it's the way that they want to envision stuff. It's the way, as long as the material is researched and as long as the material, if you're talking about a historical event, you know, it's a bad thing when you get into like older subjects like ancient history or even history that could be 200 years ago or 100 years ago as people start putting their political biases into it. And then that starts becoming the narrative and it's not necessarily true. And that's kind of how our history is written. It's written by the winner.
Yeah. The difficult thing about doing true crime is that you don't typically have access to people on the inside. So, for example, it's very rare that you will have a family member of a victim to liaise with. I did have that recently, and it was really helpful because this guy's sister was someone that got killed, and he requested I cover her case. Now, because we had that relationship, I was able to get some information about her childhood with her brother that wouldn't have been available if I'd have just used newspapers, news articles, and stuff, which was really helpful. But most of the time, people need to take it as much as you can with a pinch of salt because there was a case I did recently and someone left me a message on Spotify, you know, the Q&A thing you can do now. And they said, really enjoyed the episode. I think it was the killer in this situation. I'm his sister. A couple of the facts were wrong, such as there was something, he did something when he was 12 and I must have said 14. Minor things, realistically. But then you've got to be aware that I'm limited to what access I have. And as long as you research and what's the word? Reference everything, which I do, then mine's not an opinion based show. A lot of the really, really successful podcasts are, and people will get a bit too comfortable and conversational about it, you know, throwing in the odd joke and doing it while drinking alcohol and stuff. It's not my preference. I don't like that. Not that it's disrespectful. I just don't think it's appropriate. Have a subjective chat or put their opinions across. You know, people that will call killer, oh, this absolute asshole, this is scumbag, this. It's like that's kind of a given. If someone murders someone, it's kind of a given that they're an absolute degenerate, right? So I don't think adding in terms like that from the appropriate. I would rather come across objectively, tell you the facts as far as I know, because some of the cases people will claim that they've been wrongly imprisoned. I'm not going to go in and give my opinion and say which side I believe. I just want to give as much context to the audience as possible and let them go away and have a decision to make, really.
It depends on how much the person is involved into whatever you're researching. I get it with anything. I've been making clips for YouTube because some of them trend really, really well, and I can show documentation on it. But the best way I found to do it, and you know me, I don't really have a bias or belief strongly in anything to where I would be like, this is fact. It's more like I ask someone, hey, can you do a clip for me about this? And then I have 10 people talking about the exact same topic, saying along the lines the same things, but there's minor details that are different. And then when I go and search that up and put it in the clip, because all my clips are backed by whatever I find the article to do so. Talk about like the Weather Underground, which was a counterculture movement of like the 70s and 60s. It broke off from the Students from Democratic Society, which was just a bunch of kids that wanted to protest the Vietnam War and other culture movements that were going on. And they decided to, I mean, it broke off into three branches, but one of the branches, the Weather Underground, decided to start making their mark by blowing up government stuff. And the way they did that was they let off a bomb in the Pentagon. They did a bunch of crazy little radical type things that became, I mean, some of them are still alive today. I think a lot of them are in prison. I don't think any of them are out, but they got put on the FBI's most wanted list. Well, they broke Timothy Leary, the king of LSD, that guru guy. They broke him out of prison. And if you look up, the people I've heard said it's $20,000 they were paid, or it's 25,000. And if you look it up on Google or whatever, they'll give you both of those answers. There's not a set price or set thing. It's just an estimate. So you can put up those clips and people will just comment, it's 20,000 or it's 25,000. It's people that are actually interested in the subject, have done their own research, consider themselves respectable to get anybody in a general discussion about it, and they want to insert their opinion. You don't leave comments unless you know something or unless you've heard something or have a perspective on something. It just doesn't, no normal person leaves a fucking comment unless you tell them to leave a comment. It just doesn't happen. They're not going to be sitting there
You'd be
playing
surprised,
Xbox and be
mate.
like,
You'd be
"Oh, what did he
surprised.
say? It's not this, it's this." And then they, stop their car in the middle of the highway and start trying to reply to a spot. It's only because they're interested in that subject that you're talking about. And you're talking about a very sensitive one, much like you could talk about a historical subject. If everyone has their own opinion.
How good is your knowledge retention? Because you've done like 1,500 plus episodes, right?
Quiz me.
I'm not going to quiz you on a topic. I'm just curious because my memory is shocking. My short-term memory is really bad. And I just wonder if you ever speak to people, are you good at remembering other chats you've had? Like you've spoke to so many people about so many different topics. How good is your retention of information?
It's good, but sometimes you're in the middle of a sentence, I'll blank out and forget what the hell you're talking about. And then I'll have to come back in only in the conversation I'm in. But then once we get done, I'll remember this one for like ever. But I remember basically all my episodes, not as much the guest names anymore because there's been too many.
Okay. How are you still getting guests? Not as in you shouldn't be getting them, but what I mean is your method.
I don't know. My show sucks. Sorry. The way it sounded in the beginning, like, how are you
Uh,
still able to function?
Let me reword the question. How do you go about reaching out to acquire new guests? There's a
Send him an
better way of,
email.
but how do you choose them though? Because you've got so many people on, and the people I don't even know exist, you know? I just I'm trying to figure out because I have guests on now and again. I've done
I
50,
blame
right?
2 o'clock in the morning and I blame moonshine. Sometimes I get into some weird things on the internet where I'm like, what the fuck? And then I go, let me search that up and I look it up and there's a book and I'm like, let me just find this person, send them a
But
little email.
how do you find their email though? Because whenever I reach out to an author, I hit up the publisher normally.
Oh, I just search their name through the thing and find their social media, find anything that's
Through
personal.
the thing,
I
through the thing at the
refuse
dark
to go
web.
through a fucking publisher. Those publishers are psychopaths.
What? You might you might get a free book out of it.
I don't read any.
In fact, you don't have to read it. You could give it away.
To who?
Listeners.
I'm gonna give it to a homeless person, and the homeless person will be like, I can't fucking eat this. I'm like, yeah,
Nah,
you can if you put a little mustard on it or something.
mate, you start doing giveaways. It's a good idea.
I
Trust.
don't really have the time of the in the day to do that. And so I think we've talked about this before.
It's not difficult, man.
You're a little bit more
Create.
producer wise than I am. I kind of just want to
Yeah, I
record the
guess.
show and then get on with my fucking day.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm see for you, it's more about doing a show and kind of getting an audience. For me, I'm seeking information and I want to process that information. It's
So
part of my ADHD.
you're seeking information. I'm offering information, right? But also the speaking aspect of mine is 5% of what I actually do.
Yeah, you do a lot
Most
more
of most
research. We're going to
yeah,
talk about
most
that at some point.
research and
But
shit. Yeah.
no, I it's when I do the clips and stuff too, which is like it's I'm searching through so much. I'm researching technically because I'm going through so much documentation. But it's I'm at a point like in certain topics now that if someone mentions something, I'm like nope, 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 can't say that. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because that's your belief. That's not a fact. What you just said. What you just said has been a contested opinion and there's been more evidence to support that that's not true. And they're like, well, no, 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 because of this. I'm like, no, those aren't valuable sources that you should be looking at. And it's like, that's not me trying to be rude to that person. But I realize, like, if I'm going to do something, if I was going to do something where I just spoke it to a camera by myself, I would do something historical or I would just rant about shit. There's plenty of stuff I want to rant about. There's so much in the world where, like, there's a guy in a mine right now working for 375 an hour. And there's just people out there that are blowing their money on fucking stupid stuff on Amazon. Black Friday deal. Boom, boom, boom. Let me buy me a lightning cable. I'm like, what is that? Why do you need that? Why do you need it? It's 50 feet long. What are you doing with a 50-foot cable? Well,
There's the
sometimes I
only
want to check my hot pocket in the microwave while I'm charging my phone, and I don't want to leave my phone there for five
yeah.
minutes.
The only worst thing than getting a really, really long cable is getting a really short one.
The only reason you should get a long cable is if you're going to tie it around your. Never mind. We're going to skip over that.
Don't put that on YouTube.
That'll get you canceled real quick. All right, let's talk about your research. You're researching something. We got to get into the podcast a little bit. What are you researching, my friend? What has taken over your mind?
So right now, as before we spoke, about half an hour before we started this chat, I finished researching my upcoming end of season special. So at the end of my season, which is 10 episodes, I do a special on one of the UK's more infamous murder cases. So this one I'm doing, the guy is called Colin Pitchfork, and he was the first person in the history, not just in the UK, in the world, to be convicted of murder on the back of DNA testing and revolutionized the entire legal system.
Did
This
he kill
DNA,
somebody with a pitchfork?
no, it's just his surname.
No, he just killed two girls, right?
Just, yeah, he killed
Well,
two girls.
no, he was the
I know,
guy that they
I know what you
based
mean.
in what is it, Green Mile, that movie?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No,
he killed two girls, didn't he?
what the weird guy
Yeah,
that John Coffey got blamed for?
John Coffey.
Yeah, but they were no, they were killed at the same time in the Green Mile. I don't think Stephen King took inspiration from this story.
That was Stephen King's movie.
Stephen King's book.
Ooh, I just called him out on Twitter too. Damn. I can't that can't be my favorite movie anymore. Stephen King created a lie and I had to call him out on it.
What lie?
He said he made a book back in the day that has become part of the JFK narrative. He did an interview about it too, where he said conspiracy people just can't come to grips with reality, like anyone that believes conspiracy in the JFK case. Well, he wrote a book about the JFK assassination, and he mentioned that Marguerite Oswald was not a good mother to Oswald, and she wasn't. She was not at all. But he mentioned that he used to have him as a child come in the room and tell him to take his pants down to see if he's developing like a man. That's not real. It's made up. It's fake. There's no evidence anywhere, and he doesn't cite any sources for that. There's it's just a made up fictitious thing that he created, but somehow it slipped into the skew of the public's consciousness and history, to where if you ask about Margaret Oswald or something that actually someone knows about the assassination, they'll start mentioning all these things, and that's one of the things they mention. So in my mind, he's a piece of shit.
He is a fiction writer, though.
Yeah, but why would, yeah, but you've now blended fiction with reality.
That's kind of what they do, though, right?
It would be like if you did a horror crime podcast about a murderous event and you added a bunch of details that didn't actually happen and you went
People
around
people
spouting
do
like
that
it's fact.
too.
Yeah, those
People do
guys are
that too.
pieces of shit.
I agree. The thing is with Stephen King in that scenario, based on the limited information you've told me, is that he probably did he say that recently or around when the
when
book
Kennedy
came
was
out?
killed.
No, what he tweeted back then, did he?
No, he wrote that in his book.
No, what I'm saying is you said that he said that anyone that believes in conspiracy theories.
That was in an interview about his book back in the day. It was
Yeah,
a
so that's what I'm saying.
transcript.
So it came out around about when the book came out, right?
Yeah.
Market employ.
I,
Simple as that.
I'm sure, but he still put the thing in his book
Yeah.
without
But
any
again,
facts to back it up.
devil's advocate. It's not a
Fuck you.
autobiographical piece of
Fuck
work.
you.
I'm not defending the guy, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying
No, I get it.
he's a fiction writer in a fictional account of a true story
Go,
inspired by true events.
go back to Johnny Pitchfork.
Colin
Colin
Pitchfork.
Pitchfork.
So Colin Pitchfork sexually assaulted and killed two 15-year-old girls, one in 1983 called Linda Mann and one in 1986 called Dawn Ashworth. Now, before that, he was a bit of a flasher. So he got a kick out of indecent exposure,
Like the Somerset Gimp?
probably. It sounds similar.
Are you
So
near
he,
that location?
Somerset, no. I
Oh,
mean, for you, it's probably if I told you how far away it is for you, you'd be like, that's next door. But for us, Somerset's quite a way away. Probably 150 miles, 180 miles or something.
that's pretty far.
So he got done 4 times for indecent exposure. And it later came to light that he'd sexually assaulted another girl and another girl. So that's 2 counts of sexual assault, 2 counts of sexual assault and murder. And he was also charged with kidnap, but that later got dropped because that was he picked a girl up in a car and he kind of was gonna do who knows what with her, but luckily she sort of grabbed the wheel and tried to off road them, and he ended up letting her go.
I tried to tell her I was the Uber.
Well, not in 19
I know, I know.
thingy
It's a bad joke.
85. It is a bad joke. Poor taste. So he with this DNA revolution, it came about from Leicester University. Dr. Alec Jeffreys, I believe, he discovered this genetic fingerprinting technique, which basically meant that from any piece of, whether it's a hair with a root or skin or semen, saliva, he could extract DNA from that, compare it to DNA found from semen at both crime scenes to rule out people. So they sent letters to about 5,000 men aged between 13 and 30 in these 3 local villages. And only 2 people refused to take the test. One of them had a genuine reason, apparently, and the other was Colin Pitchfork. Now, what they didn't realize is that he had paid one of his colleagues to take the test on his behalf when the test got rolled out. So he got a letter and he paid a colleague and he gave him a fake passport photo and everything, taught him how to do his signature, told him stuff about his family so that if he was questioned, he could answer the questions sufficiently. So I think he was called Ian Kelly. He took this test, but because he couldn't keep his mouth shut, Ian Kelly, around a pub lunch one time on a Saturday, all the colleagues were saying, because he wasn't the first person he asked to take the test for him, they're all sort of talking, oh, has he asked you? Yeah, he's asked you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But then Ian said he actually went and did it. And one of the female colleagues wasn't happy with that. And she's the one that told the police. And that led to his arrest for conspiracy to pervert the course of justice. And then also Pitchfork's arrest because he was basically the only person that didn't have a valid reason to rule out to take the test. And it also been confirmed that someone had done it on his behalf. And then as soon as they arrested him, he admitted to everything.
So he did do it.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah.
Okay. How long did he serve?
He's still in prison.
Oh, damn. When did this
So
crime
that's,
happen?
well, 1980, he got convicted or sent to jail in 1987,
But when the murders happened.
1983 and 1986.
So 3 years that took?
Well, technically 4, I suppose, when he was sent to jail in 87, but yeah.
Oh my God.
But the other thing is in recent history, he was granted parole. So he was given 30 years as a minimum, and it got reduced to 28 years in 2009. But in September 2021, he was released from prison. He got granted bail or parole or whatever you want it, not bail, parole in June of 2021, released in September with the most license conditions ever. So normally when you're released from prison, the exact figure escapes me. I think it's either 6 or 9, I think. You normally have that many bail conditions. I keep saying bail, parole conditions, which means that even if you get released from prison, you're always on kind of the radar of the cops, right? Subject to release conditions. He had about 45 bail conditions, the most ever. Within 2 months, he was recalled back to prison because he was approaching teenage girls on their own and hanging about in woods and stuff, just doing exactly the same shit he was doing 36 years ago now.
Now, do you think it's something in his past experience that has caused him to have some of this like streaking or flasher type mentality?
That's what I've been trying to find. Now, there is a book called The Blooding by, I think it's an American writer, Joseph Warborough or something. I might, Wembrough, something like that. I've not read the book. I've just been using old newspaper articles really for this. He might go into more background of this guy, but I just know that even from the young age of 11, he was like indecently exposing himself to people. And he'd done this to over 1,000 women and girls over the years. It gave him a sexual rush for whatever reason. And part of his, he said part of his motive for killing the girls after he'd sexually assaulted them was he feared that they could recognize him. Quite a common thing for people to say. I killed you to shut you up, basically. But I don't. His parents, from what I can see, seem like normal parents. He had siblings. I think he was the middle of 3 kids. Nothing jumps out. Normally, when there is something dark in the past, it jumps out. You know, when you're searching for stuff or reading stuff in articles. I've read probably 100 newspapers at this point about this. Loads of other articles as well. Nothing's jumped out as to what may have led to him doing this, which makes it even more scary because he's been diagnosed a psychopath. Was he born evil?
I wonder how many people feel like they're put in a position where they've done too much already, so they might as well do it, just finish it. You know what I mean? Like we look at that in society, like for instance, if you put down a dog or something like that, it doesn't work on the first one. You're not gonna be like, well, shit, this is a sign he needs to stay alive. You're like, no, I gotta definitely take him out of his misery now. There's not really any going back. I'm pretty sure it's a similar mentality when it comes to someone that does something for drastic violence or something like that. Like, why'd you kill her? If she was fine, she could have lived. It's like at this point, it was, I did too much already. Like it's a weird question, but it's one of those where I feel like a lot of people feel like there's not really turning back on this. And that's like a lot of domestic disputes, especially in the United States, end up being acts of violence that get out of control, whether drinking was involved, and they just take it a step too far. You always hear that, a step too far. And it's like, well, there was a stopping point, but then someone crossed the line in the eyes of the other person or in the eyes of society. Was it the killer, the person that ended up murdering the person over a domestic dispute? Or was it another more violent domestic dispute because I don't know, the person was crazy? I have no clue.
I think escalation's interesting as well as a factor because if you start flashing people from the age of 11,
Damn, he's doing that at 11?
mm-hmm,
He must have a
that
fucking hog on him or something.
that can
Who's,
only give you
who's
a
flashing their
rush.
dick at 11?
It's strange. That can only give you a rush for so long, right? Until you need to escalate to the next level.
Not even masturbating until 13.
Don't know what to say to that, but
Just saying.
okay.
He had cognizance of his
But by
sensitive regions.
when he was what? So he starts that at 11. By the time he's sort of 18, he's sexually assaulting women. He's a serial womanizer, cheats on everyone. So potential addiction there. And then eventually, what's the next step after sexual assault? Murder. It didn't stop him doing it. The first murder, it wasn't like, right, that's it. He continued trying to sexually assault people, womanizing against his wife while she's pregnant, and then he kills again in 1986. Could have potentially killed that other girl in 1985, I think it was, but she managed to escape. He said he only did that because his wife had such a strict policy as to when he needed to be home by, that it wasn't kind of worth the earache he would get from her.
You think it's like a revenge thing against women?
I don't know. It's hard to judge without that context because they say bullies become bullies. The bullied become bullies, right? That's kind of what they say. It's all they know. I'm going out on a limb here, but there's nothing I've read that suggests that he was ever molested as a child, that he was ever abused emotionally, physically, or sexually by a loved one, so that's all he knew. It seems as if, for whatever reason, he's indecently exposed himself. Whether maybe it could be something that do you do we call it de-kegging or de-pantsing, you might know it as, where you'll be playing football or whatever, and you pull the pants down of your friend, right, to embarrass them. Don't you do that over there? That's just here. Then we call it de-kegging.
Fucking weird as.
Kegs meaning your pants, right?
Goddamn Brits.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Should have
just
nuked
it's
you a
like
long time ago.
it's just like a schoolboy prank. Like everyone's been de-kegged and everyone's de-kegged someone.
And we're getting shit for saying things in miles per hour and Fahrenheit, you fucking
We say miles
judgmental
per hour.
bastards.
We say miles per hour.
Yeah, all right.
We don't say kilometers, but we do say Celsius because it just makes sense.
Apparently you pants your friends too.
Your pants.
That's what they call it over here.
What, pantsed?
Yeah, pantsed.
I thought you just said you don't do it over there.
Dude, every society does something weird. There was that thing when that reporter or that guy was killed, Gaddafi. Remember Gaddafi?
Mm-hmm.
When he was murdered in the streets, when they just let the civilians have their fun with him and they shoved things up the guy's ass, like a metal stick and a bunch of stuff like that. Kids were going around school and sticking their thumb up someone else's ass, going, Gaddafi. It's terrible. It's horrible. But these are kids and they don't know any better. They don't know that it's like I said, it's like listening to a murder podcast and then actually having an attachment to it. Look at that. I swung that shit in there. Wham. Swinging for the fences.
I mean, the old thumb up the arsehole trick's not new, but people
In some
shouting,
countries, they call it 1,000 years of pain.
shouting Gaddafi at the same time. I did not expect that.
All societies have some, like, what's a cultural taboo? Are there any anymore? I feel like politics used to be one and religion used to be one, but I think everyone wears it on their sleeve now.
I think eating people's pretty taboo.
I don't think so. There's a new movie out about it.
Is it?
I took someone on a date to go see it. And 10 minutes in the movie, I was like, I'm so fucking sorry. I just saw a person with an axe on the front and I didn't know this is what the movie was about. And it ended up being people eating people. It was supposed to be Black Friday shopping. And my favorite comedian was in it, but I can't say what was the best part of it, which was the first 5 minutes because it's so offensive of what he said. But it had me dying laughing for 35 minutes.
What film was it?
Thanksgiving.
All right, yeah.
Brand new. I recommend it. You would love that
It's
movie.
brand new, but it's a remake,
Yeah, but it's fantastic.
just not for a first date or whatever.
No, not at all. But she had fun. That's the best part.
She had fun when the credits rolled.
It was the only movie that was like, I get off an whatever overnight shift, and it was the only movie that was like at a reasonable time, like 11:50. It's half off movies, and then it was an hour and a half long. And she was like, "What about Hunger Games?" I was like, "That's a 3 hour fucking. Why are movies doing that? Why 3 hours?"
Don't get it. I don't
The
get it.
the Empire of the whatever moon that came out with Leonardo DiCaprio was 3 hours and 38 minutes. You could have drove from my state to Baltimore, which is 3 hours, gotten into an Olive Garden, and then had some breadsticks and a meal. And that was the length of the movie. Think about that.
Breadsticks and a meal.
I know. Breadsticks are the best part.
I could damn well fly most of the way to you in that time.
Is it only that far away?
It's like 5 hours. What? Where are you now? You're not in where you used to be.
I'm still where I'm used to be. fucking
Okay.
studio looks the same since the last time we talked.
I know, but the way
Does
you
the
said,
lighting throw you off? I can change it. I'm kidding.
no, it threw me off that you said I could get from my state to Baltimore, but that's in the same state as you.
Yeah, it's 3 hours away by car though.
Yeah, but you said I could get from my state to Baltimore, implying you're in a different state.
I'm in Maryland. That's Baltimore. Technically, it's a city, but it's technically recognized as not a state, but it's more of a state for a lot of people.
But it's in Maryland.
Yeah, but the location, the geology of it, like the whole city, all that is just so different that people just say like, I have a Baltimore accent, even though I'm not. I'm 3 hours away from there.
You're trying shit now, mate. You
I'm
made it.
not. I'm
You made
serious.
a mistake. Just own it. It's fine.
I've made that mistake my whole life. I'm goddamn living in this state.
Yeah, I don't agree with long movies though. No, I don't agree with that. Do people still go to movies on dates?
I think yeah, people just go to the movies now. I think the pandemic realized took a lot of things away from a lot of people, and people. It's a fun experience. I mean, I saw Oppenheimer in theaters. That sucked, but it was 3 hours long.
Well, everyone says, "Oh, if you don't see it at this, that just seems like a marketing ploy as well."
Yeah, it is.
You have to see it at the cinema. Says who? The fucking cinema owner. You know what I mean? I'm not going to watch that shit. It's probably a really good film, but I don't have 3 hours plus to spare on one piece of fucking cinema.
I can if I'm in my house.
I don't see how you have time to fart. Never mind watch a film.
Yeah. Do you find that with your podcast, it takes up a lot of your time?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any room for actual enjoyment, or are you just researching? But you also like the researching knowledge part too.
No,
You're
I
more of a
enjoy doing it.
type that would call up somebody who was like a sister or a family member, but I feel like you would go to their house and interview them and get the real. Why don't you do that? You could easily have written a book by now.
No,
Lazy
written
ass.
written a written a book on what though?
I don't know. Find a subject that's interesting to you and then get really and dive down deep into it.
To be fair, I don't interview people. I don't see people enough to do that. But if I'm ever talking to someone about something that's quite deep and I feel that they're being reserved, I will try and use my experience from speaking to people to get them to open up, you know?
Oh, are you a really good interviewer?
I think I'm okay.
Okay.
I've not done nearly as much interviewing as you, but I still think I'm okay.
I'm not an
But mine's
interviewer. I'm a
mine.
conversationalist.
Oh, shut up. It's conversation, actually. So when you send emails to people, do you say, I'd like you to come on as a guest for a conversation?
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people want a list of questions and then I just don't respond back. Ghosted.
What?
They didn't pay attention to the first email where I said I don't have any script. Just
Oh, you should have just said, I don't prepare questions. I just want to
there
chat
are
to you.
billions of people in this world. I don't care what your fame is. I'm not going to waste another email on someone who's already going, well, I don't know, or I don't know, twist my arm. I'm like, all right, fair.
But be fair, how many responses do you get versus emails that you send?
I mean, look at my damn track record. What do you mean? How many responses do I get? Obviously, I'm quite a success.
Yes, but I bet you send out thousands of requests.
No, I used to.
But my point is, if someone's taken the time to read your message and reply, they might not have even read it, but they've at least acknowledged your existence. You
Yeah,
could
I've
give
gotten
them,
some positive.
give them one chance. Don't just ghost them after the.
I've gotten some positive, like, sorry, can't do this because of this. And I'm like, that's fair. Even one of the main ADHD people I wanted to speak to, who I've been recommended by fucking everybody, I actually sent him a reply back. I was like, hey, would you mind doing my podcast? I've seen your research. You're recommended by everybody in the ADHD field to do this. He's like, he wrote tons of books about ADHD. He's done a lot for the ADHD movement. He goes, sorry, I'm retired and I just don't do shows or interviews anymore. Appreciate the time. And then I'm on like Google and I find an interview he posted a day like before, and I just sent him an email. It was like sent him the link to it, and I said, "You don't do interviews anymore, huh?" He goes, "That's my own little show, and it's 5 minutes of my day I record and talk about something." And I was like, "Thought you cared about people with ADHD," and I sent that shit. And I just said, "Nah." Well, to me, it was just like, I don't know, like just say no then. Like I'm fine if someone says no. I'm like, cool, toss you. I'm good to go. Move on to the next one. I'm not going to waste any time. You get so many no's too. It happens. I'm sure you've gotten rejection stuff back, but there's a lot of people out there I want to talk to, and there's a lot of subjects I'm interested in. My only issue with getting guests is I've been called racist, and I don't like that
What, by guests?
by potential guests. So if I reach out to an academic, give you a couple examples. I reach out to an academic about psychology or something I'm interested in. Let's talk about the mind and emotions. I'm very interested in that at that moment that I sent that email. Okay. Send it to this person. This woman goes, "I appreciate you reaching out to me, but I declined to do your podcast." Now, this is a gender issue, but she goes, I no, she goes, "I noticed that you have a lot of male guests. I'm glad you're trying to correct your gender imbalance," as a little bottom to the already no at the top. And I just comment, I go, "I would think with your psychology degree, you would be able to look at someone who's just interested in having conversation and be open to that, not judging and looking at their channel and trying to see if they're a sexist." And I go, in honesty, the first thing you pointed out was that means you're looking for that. So that means you are sexist. And then I just sent that. But then people do the same thing with the race card. You have a lot of white guests. I'm like, find me some fucking other people that are interested, that aren't old white people that are interested in JFK, and I'll have them on. I've had them on. There's a couple, there's few, very few, but they're out there. Okay. They're like unicorns. When you find them, you grab a hold of them and you become their best fucking friend. I haven't slept, but I'm just saying this is all real stuff, but it's
I get it.
behind the scenes work people don't really pay attention to. It's much like when you do your research. I'm sure you're scattering through various forms of papers, newspaper articles, headline, whatever you want to say, and a guest or not even a guest, someone just comments and says something like, "Hey, did you even bother researching the subject?" You're like, "Yeah, I did. I took hours of my day researching this, weeks,
I think
years,
the one for me is mainly because I mainly, although
decades."
it's British murders, right? But I mainly kind of do English ones. So it's like, I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. That looks better, doesn't it? I mainly do English cases. So I get requests off people, "Oh, we should do more Scottish ones, oh, we should do more Welsh ones and all this." And it's like my list is audience recommended cases, right? So they reach out to me and say, "Please cover this case." So I've got a spreadsheet, 300 plus requests on there. And I just, now that when I get one requested, I'll put in the city, the country, so that I know it's an easier job picking and creating variety. I never did that before. And it's just a case of you get what you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, when I look up a guest, I don't look at their profile pictures or anything. I'm going by a name. So if I see a name with something that I just read, an article that I found interesting, like psychedelic um, drugs impacts on health. We're hearing a lot about the positives. What about the negatives? I've had both sides of the cannabis use on my show, the positives and the negatives. I like having both of those discussions. But
That's one
when
topic, right? Cannabis, where people are so opinionated on it,
rightfully
especially
so,
if you, it depends what side of the fence you sit on. Like if I do an episode on this guy who killed someone and all the reports indicated to him having a bad trip, right? Now the uproar from that was that people reaching out saying you can't have a bad trip on weed, you can't do this on weed, you can't kill people, it's not psychoactive and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm just reporting what
it
it says.
is
I'm not
very
saying that's
psychoactive.
I'm not saying that's fact. See, I'm along that belief.
No,
I've known
I don't smoke pot because I used to smoke all the time in high school, but I would get really bad, and I've explained my trips on the show before, and people are like, "What the fuck are you? You must have did something laced with like LSD or acid." And then this is how that studio got built. My buddy dosed me with a 50 milligram edible on my fucking birthday. I went to bed on New Year's Eve at 5 p.m. because I was having such a bad trip. And I explained it to him the next day, and he goes, "Dude, I don't know what something's wrong with you if that you're experiencing that." And we built this studio because he felt so bad. It is real. Certain people have psychological effects to it. It's like some people have a thing in their blood or genetic compound that just doesn't handle it properly. And when they do it, it's like have you ever heard people take their salvia experiences before?
I'm reasonably familiar with it, but yeah.
Time dilation, all like one dude spent 20 years as painting on a barn, and he was only in this trip for 30 minutes. But the salvia had distorted time and had made everything.
As
That's
paint on a barn.
a
Paint.
paint on a barn. Yeah. He talked about the seasons changing and he could feel it, but he couldn't move
That's,
because he was just this
that's
paint
a
on a barn.
fucking miserable experience.
And
That.
he said that when the farmer, after like 6 or 7 years, came out to paint the barn, that when the paint went over the area that he was experiencing, it felt like he couldn't breathe. And they think that's when he was in his like little trip because he was still there. That there was a minute in the like a couple seconds in the video where he coughed and it looked like he was choking. And that was the thing that he experienced. But he said it lasted for like a year and a half. It wasn't until the weather had degraded the paint a little bit that it was able to break a seal and he could breathe again. Isn't that nuts? But like there's
Oh, so this
some,
was someone filmed him in this trip.
yeah, he filmed himself. He was in his car and he's just smoked it. And I was like, he's in the driver's seat. Why would you post that on YouTube? Like, do it in the back seat or something.
That story seems bullshit to me.
I mean, when he got out of the trip, he explained it all. And I'm like, that's so much detail. I don't think you can make that up for
Yeah,
just
but
being real.
you know what they say about lies, don't you? The the overly complex, overly convoluted,
But
sorry.
what's the gain?
Infamy is well known, notoriety,
I don't think he's
attention.
well known at all. I don't even know his fucking name.
You might not know his name, but most
His
people
video's been up on YouTube for 15 years and it's got 5,000 views on it. I don't think he was doing it for fame.
maybe it just didn't work. Maybe it backfired.
I don't know. I think there's attention
It's a
getting.
strange story to tell. How did he know 20 years had passed? Is there a
It's the
fucking
ex
calendar on his wall or what?
it's the experience. Like the days go by like average days. It's I had one of the most famous salvia experiences was a guest on my show. I've explained it way too many times, but his name's Steve Cantwell. You can look him up. It's he spent 8 years in another life. Um, And it's a bunch of crazy stuff that like it's just too much to explain to you. It would take me like 10 minutes to try and give you even the breakdown of it. But there's so much to it that there's not a reason to lie about it. You in his story, he doesn't look good. He doesn't come out as some hero. He doesn't do any, there's no incentive. It's just a weird ass thing that happens. And if you look up, like there's research studies on salvia. There is a time experience, a hallucination, a drug trip, because it's so similar to ayahuasca. Now, when I say ayahuasca, everyone goes, yeah, ayahuasca, that'll give you some drug trips. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just salvia was legal at a point, and then the government was like, fuck, we legalized something that's probably way worse than any other drug we might have criminalized. And they kind of it doesn't get popularized. Not a lot of people know about salvia because it's just not, it's like Quaaludes. Quaaludes, like people know the name, but they were actually invented to help housewives sleep. You would take it and then you would go to sleep. But if Wolf of Wall Street popularized it, um, if you delay the sleeping effect after 30 minutes, you get a kick-ass high. And they don't make them anymore. It's like when the government bought up all the LSD back in the day. Not a lot of people know that either, but the government bought all the LSD. And everyone's like, well, there's LSD out there now. It's like, yeah, there's other strains of it, but the government bought the original LSD, and the fact that it was being distributed all around the 60s and 70s turned out to be MK Ultra, the government program about dosing people with LSD and shit. I'm sure
So
you
I
didn't
don't
know MK Ultra either.
no, I've heard the name. It's not something I've looked into, but I only know Salvia because of what was that film? You ever watch Workaholics?
Yeah.
They made them three were in a film a couple of years ago. I think it was called Game Over, man, and it was like a Die Hard spoof.
So they're they're
One of
hotel
the
bus boys.
yeah, that's it, yeah. So one of the dudes was addicted to salvia in that, I believe.
I think they smoked it, but I don't know if he was addicted to it.
I think one of them was like he just loved doing it, but yeah, he smoked it. Only
Yeah,
one of
but
them did though.
cannabis definitely has adverse reactions to it. It just if they don't know if it's psychosocial or not psychosocial, psychosomatic. You experience a lot of symptoms of it. but they don't know if it's certain disorders. From what I've talked to specifically in the area of ADHD, they said there with people with ADHD has a high propensity to cause psychoactive disorders. But that also depends on your ADHD subtype because there's over like 200 something subtypes.
Do you think it's addictive?
Marijuana?
Hmm.
I think it is. I don't think
I think it
necessarily
is.
the drug is addictive. I think it's the feeling. People go, well, that's the drug. I'm like, no, I just think society has got people to a point where it's like, why is drinking fun? Because it fucking kills time. It makes the day go by better. It makes you feel nice. So does marijuana. But talk to the people that have effects of marijuana, long-term pot smokers. I'm not talking about memory issues. I'm talking about regret. My whole family smokes pot all day, every day. And if you ask them when they're sober, they're just like, I don't know. I felt like my life has been on freeze. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, I haven't really done shit for however long I've been getting high. It just kind of, it's like people in high school that start smoking and then they get addicted to it. Look at your friends or anybody that you might know who is a stoner as an adult. They do it and they function, but did they ever achieve any of the things that they wanted to achieve? But in the end, the counter argument to that is how many people do achieve the things they want to achieve. But some people just don't go to college. Some people just don't want to do much but get high and drive around and listen to the fucking Grateful Dead, which isn't that good, to be 100% honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people get dependent on it without admitting that they have a problem. Like people I've known, and it's not normal to do something like that every single night. I can't sleep without it. That's dependency, mate. That's borderline addiction. And oh no, no, it's fine. It's just a bit of weird. Just and people drive when they've smoked. Do you think he's stupid?
You get a
What?
fine for that
Why?
now.
No, it's illegal here. But
But
I
you can't
don't. I mean,
smoke in the UK.
well, it's illegal, but people do it, and it's like I don't know. I just think people are just selfish, really selfish.
Selfish?
Yeah,
About what?
people that smoke weed and drive.
Oh, yeah, yeah, that's very selfish. I don't know. Don't you ever feel like a little gutsy after 2 beers?
Well, if I ever have a beer, I would only ever have one if I was driving. My dad would have none. And in Scotland now it's illegal. Well, it's a zero tolerance policy. Like in the UK, you're allowed up to so many units. I don't know what it is. I don't even know if it's up to a pint anymore. In Scotland, it's a zero policy. If you're just a millimeter above, I think that says more about Scotland's drinking problem than
There's,
anything else.
I mean, like I said, it's different. It's the location, it's the people as well too. I mean, me drinking a beer compared to like one of my coworkers who's like 7'2" and like 200 something pounds or 300 something pounds. A beer is not like we're talking about drinking and stuff like that. Like I was like, yeah, I'll have this and I'll have this. He's like, that wouldn't even get me a buzz. I was like, I mean, I don't even care about getting drunk. I just care about like, I don't know, just enjoying a drink, I don't really give so much about crap. Like I have friends that'll kill a 24 pack. I drove my friend up to, I don't even know if I could say that story. I drove a friend up to Baltimore Airport. This man got in my car with a 24 pack of Natural Light and killed the whole 24 pack on the way to Baltimore, which is 3 hours away.
Good going.
And I'm just like,
A pack of
God.
24. Let's do our maths here. So that's 8 an hour,
Yeah.
which is one every
I think he
seven
stopped
and a
like,
half minutes.
yeah, we stopped a couple times. He had to keep using the bathroom. I was like, damn, man.
No shit.
But he definitely drank a lot more in the first hour and then just kind of, and I think this was before, I wouldn't say, I'm not gonna say before open container rule, but I don't know. I was driving. I'm used to being the DD most of the time. Like
Hmm.
I said, I don't, if I can go out and just not have a drink, that's fine. I would like to have one, but if I'm going to be DD, I'm not going to even bother just drinking one because there's not a point to it anymore. I think they
Yeah, I agree.
realize that they've tried a couple of times to petition to move the alcohol thing up because I think after one beer, it's just not that most people can drive after one beer. I'm not recommending it because it's stigmatized in society as doing that, but it's just a lot of people do, whether they want to admit it or not. A lot of people do drive after a beer. It's not like a big, because there's just not enough to impair. And I'm sure it impairs something. Marijuana impairs stuff as well too, but also not getting enough sleep impairs.
Yeah, that's really bad. Lack of sleep. Really, really bad. We have a lot of signs on the motorway, freeway, whatever you want to call it. Don't I don't know what the slogan is. Maybe there isn't a slogan. I'm thinking like don't drink and drive or don't drug and drive for weed and stuff. But there's so many signs everywhere that just say, you know, basically it's not worth the risk if you're tired. Just pull into a service station, shut your eyes for 20 minutes before you carry on.
Yeah, but see, if you do that over here, you pull off to the side of the road and sleep for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you can get fined for that.
What you a service? Do you have service? We call them services on the
Not
freeway. No,
not
like
really.
for petrol, and you'll every so say 20 miles, 25 miles, we have the services on each side of the motorway, and there'll be petrol there, extortionate prices, of course, because you can't get it anywhere else. Petrol or gas, whatever. And then you'll have a few. It's like a mini food court, so you'll have like KFC, McDonald's, a
No, I
coffee
know.
shop.
Yeah, I'm aware. I don't know. It's not too common depending on where you're going. I mean, I'm sure if you're on a giant trucking route, sure. But not most of the places around here. We don't have just service stations.
But
Uh,
that's the size difference of countries because you have like what do you call them, interstates and stuff. They're like your big roads, right?
yeah.
So we just our big roads are called motorways, 3 lanes long, but we have a very small country. You could drive from the top of Scotland to the bottom of Cornwall in probably max
God damn.
8 hours or something.
That's like it sounds like someone tried to create a Dora the Explorer episodes. You can drive from this up to Cornwall, and I'm like, damn, you're on the magical kingdom. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, Cornwall. I've never been. It's supposed to be lovely. Too far away, man. Not driving down there.
Have you ever vacationed? Are you on a vacation?
I've gone on holiday.
That's fair. But did you just
Vacation.
stay home?
Well, we have a caravan on the east coast, which is about hour and 45 drive away.
I don't want to talk shit on you guys, but your women are hot. Just letting you know. You guys got some of the hottest women. It's like when I go to Scotland, god damn, or Sweden. All of the women are beautiful.
I mean, there's a couple of things wrong with what you just said. The first is how would that be shitting on us? That's a compliment. Second of all, what's Sweden got to do with it?
Now I was rationalizing, making fun of the whole Cornwall thing by saying something, giving you a compliment.
Oh. Yeah, but you prefaced it with saying I don't want to shit on you
No, I
guys.
always hear American women are beautiful. American women are gorgeous. So like some of the videos I see in the UK of just like TikToks, I watched a woman getting given haircuts only because she was hot.
Uncommon as they are over there, as they are
Back to
here.
Johnny Pitchfork.
Colin.
Colin Pitchfork.
Colin.
He sounds
Yeah.
like a student.
He's a twat, is what he is.
Oh,
A monster. Actually, we're recording this December 11th. On December the 7th this year, 2023, he was denied parole again.
damn. He's like Mark Chapman. Mark Chapman's been up 14 times.
Yeah. I don't he's not been up that many, this guy. He's been up so he got refused in 2016. He got refused in 2018. He got it granted in 2021, but then with recalled within 2 months. And so this will be his fourth parole hearing, and this one's been denied. So 3 out of 4 has been denied, and I imagine it's just going to continue. He's like 63 now.
What's the moral of the story?
Don't expose yourself to, just don't be a cunt.
Ooh, it's a rough word over here.
Give a shit. It's not a rough word over here.
It'll
Beep,
it'll
beep it if you want.
it'll trigger a bunch of people.
Why?
It's such a good word too.
It's a great word.
I
It's a
know.
term of endearment here.
Sounds like a cucumber, but then you just give it a hard cut at the end of it.
It's great. It's emphasize, emphasis. Sorry,
It'll
emphasizes.
it'll pack a wallop if you say it to somebody.
It depends how you say it. Like if you fell over, I could call you a
Hard
daft cunt.
T. Hard T.
Yeah, a hard T. Yeah, that would be nasty. But
How
I
would
could
you
be
say
like,
it to your friends?
Like if they fell over, I'd be like, you daft cunt.
What about if you're mad at somebody?
But you absolute cunt.
Oh, okay. So you give it a
it's
little
the
bit
it's
more
the hard
emphasis.
it is the hard T and the comes out strong. You might spit.
What's a
You know what I mean?
stigmatized word that's on our language for you guys?
I mean, your language, this will trigger people. Your language is the pussified version of proper English, which we
Eh,
invented.
eh, why? We say
Why?
some nasty shit.
Because, no, you don't.
Yes, we
What
do.
a douchebag.
Douche.
What words do you think you say that we would take offense to if you think cunt is so bad?
Home.
Who?
Home.
Home?
Yeah.
Don't understand what you mean.
It's the Baltimore accent.
Oh, yeah, that's not
So
a word or a phrase, is it? That's
yeah,
it's an accent.
so like it's interesting if you look at like I had a linguistics person on my show who studies just like language and all that. And she goes, "Where are you?"
A cunning linguist.
That is a sexual thing, not a
It's a play on words.
I know. But I had a person on here who studies that, a researcher, and she goes, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from Maryland." She's like, "Oh, really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "I've heard that accent is very unknown. Like it's very," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "You don't, do you not hear it?" I was like, I think I talk pretty normal. And she goes, "No, no, no, you have something like when I say unknown, when I say home, it's just the long O. But the Baltimore has two versions. There's the home, and then there's like if you call like my grandfather, for instance, I'll call him up and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" He's like, "Hey man, what's up?" Or he'll say something like, "Just say how's it going?" And yeah, my grandpa says, "Hey man, what's up?" Um, but I'm like, so like you never left like Baltimore. Did you ever want to explore? I was like, why would I do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, did you ever want to like where are you from originally? Like, born? He was like, I haven't left this fucking block. Like here. Like that's how my grandpa talks. And that's Baltimore, technically. Like you're when you say now, you say noun. When you say um oh, there's another one, a good one out there. I can't even say that because it's just
Mate,
you're
your impression of your grandpa was just your voice to me.
oh, that's
I
fair.
would
He's like me a lot.
you've got a generic American accent that anyone that put on an impression would sound like you,
Okay.
basically.
All right.
Unless you were specifically trying to do a regional impression, like someone from Boston or
How do you say the term BJ?
DJ.
BJ.
DJ, yeah.
No, B.
Oh,
B.
BJ.
Like how would
BJ.
you say that word fully? You know what that means, right?
Yeah, blowjob.
See, I would say bro job.
Bro job.
She
Why?
gave her a bro job. It's the
Bro job.
Baltimore accent.
That's strange. We call it a
Bro.
blower. Call it a blower.
Blowy.
Blower, yeah.
Okay. It's fair.
So
Thought those
that
were
that
those things you pick out of the grass and you blow and it has that little fuzz ball at the top of it that just fades.
that's a dandelion clock, mate.
Oh,
You know
clock.
what? Oh yeah, mate. Oh mate. That's how you figure out what time it is. You never did that shit at school?
No,
Oh
because we
mate.
have a cell phone. If you tap the screen, it'll pop up and tell you. I got exactly 10 more minutes with
Yeah, so when I grew up, we had to invent our own fun because we didn't have screens and all this shit. So they're just weeds, aren't they, basically? As in annoying plants, not
you. You're not even that older than me. Why are you?
ganja. 34.
Oh,
That answers that
it's
question.
not that much older than me.
How old are you? 26?
Yep, today.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thanks, man.
Also, fuck you.
Hmm.
No, we know them weeds that you're talking about, right? And it's got the fluffy, they're all just seeds, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they just come off in the wind. So we call them dandelion clocks because you blow it. So you go, and however many blows it was what time it was. Obviously, it was never accurate. But if it took 4 blows to get rid of all the seeds, it was 4 o'clock. It's a bit of fun.
What happens if it took 12
Midday or midnight. Is it dark? No, it's midday then.
and you're also out of breath
Yep, very.
and very
I mean,
lightheaded?
it was never later than sort of 5 o'clock. It
No
would never
shit.
take that
No
many. To
shit.
they're only small, but yeah.
The clock that
That's,
stops at 5.
did you ever do that thing where you'd pick up a tiny little thing and it had a yellow like flower, really small, and you'd hold it under the chin, and if you could see yellow, that meant you like butter. It was I think they were called buttercups. These no buttercup.
N-
Do you like butter? Yeah, but
No,
it shone under everyone's chin. It's just what happened.
but back to the Gaddafi thing, when people would blow into that little dandelion clock thing,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
it all stopped when someone said, "Hey, you know that sperm coming off the little lions? That means you're." It was back in the day when people were so afraid to be homophobes or homosexuals, and yeah, so everyone stopped doing that. It's how trends changed in school.
I think gay is the term you're looking for, mate.
Yeah, but they don't like it when you call them gays.
I thought the word like homosexual was outdated.
I don't know. I just like the rollerblade.
I don't get it. That's gone over my head.
What the rollerblade thing?
Yeah.
It was seen as a very flamboyant thing to do rollerblades.
Was
They
it?
used to be really cool back in the day. Like everyone used to go to the roller rink and hang out with their pals. And then now it's like if you get caught wearing rollerblades, someone just screams out the window at you.
What now?
Yeah,
That's strange. You don't see many people rollerblading nowadays, unless
there's
it's in
some people.
a dedicated rink.
There's
Do you have
some
do you have
people.
them Healy things? The kids wear them Heelys, you know? It's like
That was
trainers.
really big. I never had them because I could never do it. But there's a lot of people I knew that thought they were like the coolest kid. They heely up to their locker and shut the thing and be like, "Oh my God!" And they flip their hair and then roll away.
If they would have been around, they would have 100% been banned at my school.
I'm just glad I didn't have a MySpace because the number of people that regret their MySpace profiles.
One of them, innit? What sort of stuff gets banned in your schools? I'm talking like elementary schools.
I don't
So
know.
we had when Pokemon cards first came out in the late 90s, they got banned. Yo-yos got banned. What else? Anything that could cause any kind of tension or arguing was banned. Anything
Uh,
fun, really.
I don't think we really had anything that got banned. Um, Knives,
Goes without saying, but yeah,
guns.
good things to ban. Again, sort of goes without saying in England, but yeah.
There was one kid during like Christmas break when I was in like junior year of high school, and I had gone to Hawaii. No, 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 junior year. Yeah, it might have been junior year. I went to Hawaii for like 2 weeks, and
How old are you junior year?
I was probably 16.
Okay. That's
Six.
junior year?
Yeah, I was put in school early.
What? Sorry. Junior year.
Junior year is 11th grade.
Right.
So the next year after that, senior.
So 16 to 17 is junior year, 17 to 18 is senior year.
No, junior year is 17 to 18. Senior year is 18 or 17. No, yeah,
You
junior
just said you were
year.
16, mate.
I said I was put in school early.
But what does that mean?
I mean,
16's
a
not
whole
early.
year early means that my birthday falls at such a specific time. My parents could have waited and then put me in school where I would have been with kids my age, or they decided to throw me in early and they threw me in early.
So you were the youngest by a year then
Yes.
but where were you before that then? Before you were 16? What's it
Sophomore.
called? Really don't understand your school
There's
system.
4 years in high school, most high schools: freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year.
So is it I think I'm getting confused because you have a middle school over there as well, don't you?
Yes,
See,
two years.
you have three schools. We don't. We have two.
They had us whole school for 2 years. I remember I was a kid in like eighth grade. I was like, why do they have a school for just 2 years? They could have used this
Yeah,
building
that's
for something
weird.
else.
See, we have junior school or elementary, you would call it, from the age of 4 till the age of 11. So that's 7 years. And then we have high school, which is 11 to 16. So that's 5 years. And then after that is
Can
further
I get
education.
back to my story?
You can, yeah. It confuses me. You
So
went to
junior
Hawaii.
year, I went to Hawaii. And when I came back, there was like 5 people in school total out of like a school of like 900 something kids. There's just 2 people or 5 people, me and some other people. And I get to my like third class. I'm like, this is really weird. Like, did I know it's the holidays and all, but did everyone just travel and go out of town? And my buddy sends me a Snapchat, like one of those little like picture things. He's playing like Xbox. And I'm like, why aren't you at school, man? I'm sitting in class. Like, you went to school? I was like, why? Like, dude, when you were gone, this kid threatened to shoot up the school. And I was like, wait, what? And then like, yeah, so this all the like even some of the teachers didn't show up. This kid had like really bad like mental problems, and this was like when the first like shootings really started happening at schools. Like when it was like it was the first one happened, the second one happened, and then there was like years where it didn't happen. Like they were kind of spread out. Now it just seems like it gets reported on like every week or some shit. Um, but like yeah, it was that like early on in it where it freaked everyone out for weeks. And I had been in Hawaii and I just called my dad up. I was like, yeah, man, come get me from school. Why? I'm like, nobody is here. He's like, what are you talking about? You took the bus this morning. I was like, I did take the bus this morning, but I was kind of curious. I thought everyone was traveling for holidays. There's nobody here because of this situation. My dad's like, Jesus. Well, finish the rest of the day out. You'll be fine. Is he there? And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen him. He's like, if it's like you're saying, there's five people there. I'm pretty sure he won't be hard to miss. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, they converged all the lunches, the four periods that you have lunch, different. There's like not that you eat lunch four times, is that you have
Yeah,
lunch
different
once,
schedules.
but different
Yeah.
schedules. So
Hmm.
everyone has their own lunch period. They all just converged it into one, and it was literally like two tables that were out of the whole 100 something tables that were there, because nobody legitimately showed up. Kid didn't shoot anybody, but yeah, it was stunning for me.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense with a school that size to have different lunch periods.
Those are the kids, and bringing it back full circle because I know you got to go pick up your kid. But
Yeah.
murderers, sometimes you can point them out in grade school when they start saying they're going to shoot the whole school up. They're like, hey, he did it early. He was a future thinker if you think about it.
That's a red flag.
No shit.
Red flag.
Yeah. I would have been like, you're banned from this school for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Hopefully he's not gone on to do anything.
I haven't heard about him in a while. But we did have a kid that was a
That's
little
either
bit,
really good news or really bad news.
we did have a kid that was a little bit on the spectrum, and he got arrested. Him and his dad got arrested a couple of years ago for having a bunch of child pornography in there. Yeah. And I literally, he was in my driving class, and I get weird feelings about people, and I always tell people trust my instincts on that because they're pretty like accurate. Like sometimes I'll be in a podcast with a guest, and like a minute in, I'll be like, nope, I'm getting a weird vibe, just not doing it, just canceled it, just like the energy's not going to click. And I would tell everybody throughout school, I'd be like, I tell my buddy, I'd be like, hey, like this kid, something's wrong with him. There's something there. And then like just 2 years ago, all those 15 years I was saying it, I wasn't spreading it around like a rumor. I would just say it to people like in that I was friends with. And then 2 years ago, everyone's like, yo, and they sent me that article. I was like, I called it. I called it. I said, I just didn't get a good vibe. There was something there. It was something. And I remember I was in driving school, and this kid, he might have been on the spectrum. He's just awkward, socially awkward. He would get up when someone would use the vending machine, and he would stare at, like, right in front of the thing, stare at the snack as it fell. And then he would say something in, like, you ever watch Grandma's Boy, the movie? He would say something like, the guy on there acts like he's a robot. He'd be like, I am. He would do that stuff. And he's like a grown ass man doing that. This kid would say things like that. And I forgot what it was. He liked My Little Pony a lot. So he started talking about My Little Pony. He's like, you're a brony too. And I was like, no, but my buddy here is. And I pointed at my buddy, and my buddy just looks at me like he's going to fucking murder me. And I go, hey, you're fine. And yeah, that was just a little aside. But no, he was. I mean, from what I know, he was a okay kid. But yeah, that came out a couple of years ago. We've had a bunch of shit happen since high school. A bunch of kids that I like, we all knew do some weird, horrible, a lot of deaths too. Lots.
Yeah. What a macabre way to end this episode. Eh?
Yeah, dark. I always like then dark. British Murders podcast, everybody. If you want to look up Stu, check out his other episodes. You'll be able to understand why this conversation went the way it did. Stuart, thank you again for giving me the time of your day.
Thanks
Please.
for having me on and for skipping your breakfast or dinner or whatever to speak to
Yeah,
me.
you're welcome. Well, anything for you, buddy. But seriously, thank you, Stu, again for giving me the time. Is there a place where people can find your links? Promote them real quick.
BritishMurders.com. Everything's on there.
All right. I'll link that all in the description. Thanks everybody for chatting. Listen to this episode of Out of Blank. Stay tuned for next episode.